It's been a little while since we talked about Stephen Miller, and that might be by design. The architect of President Trump's mass deportation campaign is keeping a lower profile this term, but it doesn't mean he's any less influential. As the New York Times reports, Stephen Miller is still pursuing his immigration agenda, but more quietly.
What's up, everybody? Major retired Richard Ojeda here, and out of sight, out of mind, but still behind the steering wheel. You know, it's been real quiet from Stephen Miller lately, and don't ever think that's an accident, because the man, the cruel Squidward-looking villain who built Trump's mass deportation machine, hasn't disappeared.
If he remains in Trump's inner circle, as the reporting very much suggests, he's not in trouble, but he starts to take his strategy into the shadows. What does that mean for the rest of us?
I think we're already seeing it. I think the immigration machine works best when we're not covering it.
No, he didn't vanish. He didn't get pushed out. He didn't crawl away defeated. He just slid right back into the shadows, back into the sewer where he does his best work, where nobody's watching, where the cameras aren't pointed, where the outrage dies down, and the headlines move on. Mass detentions and mass deportations under Trump looks in many different ways, and it takes many different shapes and forms, and it's all about the same thing that Stephen Miller's obsessed with, which is inflicting pain, inflicting so much anxiety and fear to the point, which is what he's always wants to do, to the point that it leads people to want to self-deport.
I think in large measure, this is a strategy that is driven by Stephen Miller, that is driven by this sense in the White House that they're in a lot of trouble, so they want to get back to something they're good at, which is the racial and ethnic animus game that defines a lot of this immigration rhetoric on their side. I do think that while you parse those numbers, if you started to see people inside the society, inside our culture, realizing what this could mean to many, many, many millions of Americans, the backlash would be extraordinary. And I do think that it's one of those sort of hypotheticals that's interesting to talk about. But when it started to affect real people, I think this would not. I think people would get back to the belief we've shared as a country for 150 years that if you're born here, you're here. You're an American.
You've got voices out there saying that he's retreated, that MAGA's fallen apart. But let me tell you something. He's not the one in trouble. We are. Because while the cameras moved on from the violence we saw in Minnesota, the killings of Alex Pretty and Renee Good on the streets of Minneapolis, while the headlines cooled off and everybody got distracted by the next shiny object, that same immigration machine kept grinding. It kept tearing families apart. It kept detaining people. It kept spreading fear like wildfire. And the man behind it, the one pulling the strings, he's just not standing in front of a microphone right now. And that's exactly how this works. The whole operation, this entire machine he helped build, works best when nobody's paying attention. It doesn't need headlines to function. It doesn't need Fox hits every 4 days to keep moving. It runs in the background. It runs in the dark. And just because you don't see it on your screen every night doesn't mean it stopped. It didn't. It's still here. It's still working. It's still infecting everything, like a thorn under the skin that never heals, like something rotten that just keeps spreading because nobody's willing to cut it out. And that means the same policies, the same mindset, the same cruelty is still being pushed forward. It just looks different. It moves differently. It hides itself better. And that's what should scare you the most, because this isn't about one headline moment. This is about a system that adapts, shifts, and finds new ways to keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Stephen Miller's really good at figuring out how to, plot these little obstacles throughout the legal immigration system, and has been orchestrating the de-documentation of lots of people who are here legally, or other random things, like, saying that people who are on DACA can't get commercial driver's license. They can't drive trucks.
So I will say this is part of his overall and his team, and certainly Stephen Miller's maximalist strategy, which, as it's been repeatedly described to me, is you sort of push and you push and you push until you run up against a wall. And they have been heartened to find that they haven't hit as many walls as they would expect. And then when you hit a wall, you try to bulldoze over it. And of course, the courts have proven in the second term, oftentimes one of the last bulwarks. But this was, I believe, one of that about 100 executive orders Trump did on day one. So this was a priority.
What does that mean for the rest of us? It means we're still living under it. It means we're still subject to people who think they can dictate reality, people who act like experts in things they don't understand, people who push policies that impact millions while living in a completely different world themselves. It means we're dealing with an immigration machine that doesn't stop just because public attention fades. It changes shape. It finds new angles. It keeps moving. And that's the point. It always takes different forms, but it's always about the same thing: fear, pressure, and control. It's about making life so difficult, so uncertain, so filled with anxiety that people give up before they even try. It's about creating an environment where the message is clear without ever having to say it out loud. You're not welcome here, and we'll make sure you feel it every single day. Because the people behind it don't stop. They just change tactics. They adjust. They find ways around obstacles. They keep going. The biggest mistake anyone can make right now is thinking that just because it's quieter, it's better. That's just because you don't see him every night. It's over. It's not over. It's just less visible. And that's when it's the most dangerous. Because the truth is, nothing changes unless people decide it's going to change. Unless we all decide to stand up against this inhumane cruelty. Not outrage for a day. Not a trending topic. Not a viral clip. Real sustained pressure, paying attention, and calling out injustice, even when it's not convenient. Never walk past something that you know is wrong and fail to make comment. For if you do, you have accepted a new lower standard. And we are not accepting lower standards. We are not letting this operate in the dark where it benefits, where it thrives, where it spreads like an infection. So what do we do about it? We keep the lights on. We shine the spotlight. We don't look away. We don't let this slip back into the shadows and become normal just because we got distracted. We talk about it. We expose it. We make damn sure people understand exactly what's happening and who's behind it. And when it comes time to act, whether it's voting, organizing, speaking up, or showing up, we don't sit it out. Because the only reason this machine keeps moving forward is because too many people think someone else is going to stop it. That's not how it works. You don't get to be quiet about it. You don't get to turn away and let someone else handle it. You don't get to shrug your shoulders and hope that it fixes itself. Stay engaged, stay loud, stay informed, and make damn sure the criminals pushing this cruel agenda know that every step of the way they're being watched. Because dragging this into the light changes things. Accountability changes things. People standing it together changes things. And if history has shown us anything, it's that no system, no matter how cruel, no matter how powerful, survives when enough people decide that they've had enough. So the question isn't what Stephen Miller is doing next. The question is what we, as the American people, are going to do about it. And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.